right, it's December 3rd, 2021. I'm local. I'm in a position right now where I was born. I have not had a very good life frame, we'll call it, or lifetime here in the state of New York, in the North American continental United States of America, Northern Hemisphere. I'm normally seated over there when the only information I have accessible is presented with some agreement from somewhere. This particular one says Viacom International. Logos are trademark of Viacom International. Now, the question is, this brings about, when I was little, there was a disease called HIV and AIDS. It first came out. They're doing a piece on this on the television because a few days ago it was World's AIDS Day. In the interim, I'm noticing that the broadcasters and the television and the airspace has changed significantly between 1980s and now. Again, the piece, the way that they brought it out, it just stood out. And some of the other events that have happened around here, I'm not sure if because this is being broadcast in New York and it's New York centric, I'm not sure if it's also reminiscent of things that have gone unaddressed or allowed to grow dangerously that caused some other things in the New York area.
Buy tickets at AmericanDream.com.
In his famous novel, The Plague, Albert Camus writes, quote, "We learn in time of pestilence that there are more things to admire in men than to despise." You could say that about the coronavirus and the AIDS epidemic that started 40 years ago. On this World AIDS Day, it's estimated about 36 million people have died from HIV-related causes, and about 38 million people are living with the virus, and there is still no cure. Our chief medical correspondent, Dr. John LaPook, reflects on his own experience working at the height of the AIDS crisis. He went back to a place central to that time in his life.
In the fall of 1976, I entered medical school. I was eager to make a difference. But when you're a first-year medical student, you don't know a whole lot of medicine. So my contribution to clinical care was basically limited to bringing my college singing group to the hospital to entertain sick children. I graduated in May 1980. And off I went to start my internship as a newly minted doctor at what was then called Columbia Presbyterian Medical Center. Then, in March of 1981,
federal health officials consider it an epidemic, yet you rarely hear a thing about it.
I saw my first patient with what would become known as AIDS. He was suffering from something I had never seen before, an eye infection from a common virus that a normal immune system could usually handle. But his immune system was anything but normal. He died. And for years, so did every single patient with AIDS who I helped care for. So many of them were in what should have been the prime of their lives. They all had so-called opportunistic infections that attacked people with weakened immune systems. HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, would not be discovered for another 2 years. But we were all discovering firsthand that it could decimate the immune system.
We're all scared to death. We'd like to know what the hell we're supposed to do here. You know, what should we do? Should we stay home and lock?
Now, when I was little, when they did put on the news, this is what the nightly news looked like and sounded like. It was not that HD TV clarity or digital clarity that they have today. The cinematography looked a little grainy, but it was okay. It was actually, I felt, a better quality of cinematography. because at least the airspace felt a little safer.
Lock ourselves back in the closet, or, what should we do?
We don't know what we're dealing with, and it's deadly, and it's transmissible.
Wow. And it was right here, in this very amphitheater, where students and staff got together for what was called grand rounds, trying to figure out what in the world was going on.
I don't have access to grand rounds. Didn't until this broadcast, I didn't even know, and I don't even know if by next week I will even remember that. I mean, conceptually grand rounds exist, I understand, but what the words and the construct and the industry and the discipline in many varied things calls itself, it's difficult to find where to go, and people normally don't just let you come in and sit down. You usually have to be part of something or introduced or brought into something.
We all felt helpless, and I certainly didn't think I was making a difference.
I'm 31 years old, and I've watched a great many of my friends die.
Sometimes patients would get better for a while if their infections were treatable, but they would always get readmitted to the hospital.
I remember one man especially well, a car mechanic in Washington Heights, a husband and a father, a lovely guy who could...
I don't want to give a commercial piece, but I
Not
did
a
want
vaccine against the disease, nor a cure.
It was astonishing. Finally...
So that was New York Langone, apparently is what the workspace
Who might be
is
killing his...
called.
Okay, Nicole, I need the TV.
All right. One sec. And when I go to the commercials and what TV morning news, there's one.
When the blast inside of
And this is
the moment. But first with some breaking news. New York City School Chancellor Misha Porter just announced she is stepping down at the end of the month. She says she will serve as the CEO of a nonprofit, the Bronx Community Foundation. Porter has served as school chancellor since March when Richard Carranza resigned. Her departure comes just before Mayor Eric Adams is expected to take office. He is expected to choose new leadership for the city's school system. Investigators are trying to figure out what caused an early morning explosion in Brooklyn. The blast inside a home on Vermont Street in Cypress Hills.
okay. Star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cataruzza. I know that I don't know. I really don't know. But it would be an assumption that the TV has something to do with airspace, which seems to be a vulnerable position at the moment in New York, based on the fact that the health of many are concerned with cancer and all sorts of things. The light level at the window is normally like right now it looks okay, but it tends as you get outside to go into a higher level. Right now, it seems to be at a lower level, or it refracts. Anyway, star 1978, star 8378, Nicole Cataruzza, Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxies, Broken.